Hello, welcome back to a Slightly Twisted Welcome back to a Slightly Twisted Female. I'm joined here with the one and only Jennifer Thomas.
Hello.
You guys may remember her from my earlier stream. Jennifer Thomas is an American woman who has been going from coast to coast across the United States, campaigning on the ground. She's a boots on the ground activist. She has, really trailblazed, I think, across the United States, setting up, free speech for women events, giving women of all walks of life the opportunity to speak, and I think speak safely. She does a great job creating inroads with, our local law enforcement and other support systems within cities to make sure that women not only have a platform to speak, but I think to speak safely. And I think you've done a really great job with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so, we're here today to discuss something that we have coming up that we've been working on. This has been a long time in the making, but on April 14th, we have
the Speaker's Corner, Free Speech for Women, Justice Speaks.
Yes.
April 14th, 1 to 4, Trenton, New Jersey at the Annex.
Yes.
And we have, plenty of security available. So just in case anybody's wondering if they're going to be safe or not, this is a very well thought out, well planned event. So, there may be protesters that come, anti-women protesters that come, but we have a lot of security aware and planning to protect us.
Yes.
So that's really what's important with the free speech for women.
Right.
That's why I go around the country looking for free speech for women where women can actually, speak. They can actually, without fear, right? So in most of those places, what I do is I like to pick places that are going to give more than one security, right? Like, so we have the state police that will be there to keep us secure, and then with the option to call the police. So, that's probably 40 to 50 officers, right, that will be there to protect us. And that's important for the women to know that they're going to come and be safe.
Right. But just because I don't think we've let them know. So the main purpose of what we're going to be doing on the 14th is to protest Edna Mahan Correctional Facility, which is the only women's prison, basically, in the state of New Jersey, and who really led the way in allowing men to penetrate and integrate into protected women's spaces. And when I say it's the only women's prison in the state of in the state of New Jersey, I meant it's formally the only women's prison in the state of New Jersey, because now there are currently, I think they've reduced the numbers, but at its height there were 27 males housed amongst 400 female inmates. We know that these women come from a variety of trauma, of difficult backgrounds. These are some of our nation's most vulnerable women. It's overrepresented in Black, brown, indigenous women, Hispanic women, women who are survivors of domestic abuse, women who are survivors of, SA, and who have come through such trauma. And as they do their time to repay whatever their debt may be to society, should and have a constitutional right to do so safely, the Department of Corrections of New Jersey has a responsibility to protect these women while in their custody, while they do their time. Sexual assault should never be part of the punishment, should never be part of the penalty. But what's happening now, and thanks to a lawsuit by the American Civil Liberties Union, also known as the ACLU, in 2020, they petitioned and were granted the right to start housing trans-identified males, the overwhelming majority of whom are autogynephiles, to begin living amongst women. If anybody saw my previous interview with Hakeem, who is, currently upstate and who has a lot of experience with these trans-identified males, he knows, even him, if he had the opportunity, if they said, hey, where would you want to be housed? With a bunch of, violent, crazy men, or with a bunch of women?
A candy store.
A candy store, absolutely,
Yeah.
of course.
Where would you want to be housed? Well, they were convicted criminals. Why do they get a choice on where they get to be housed? I mean, let's start right there.
Right.
And then this is, against the Geneva Convention. Everyone knows it's wrong. We don't even have to have the Geneva Convention. We know that it's wrong to house sexual offenders and just men in general with women in prison. So, it's
insane.
It's more gaslighting from the state-sanctioned rape, state-sanctioned baby making, because there's 2 children that have been produced from these rapes. Now, think about the rape situation, right? We know there was 2 rapes because there's 2 children. How many women do you have to rape before you get 2 women pregnant? Right. That we don't know.
Exactly.
So, that we don't know.
That is a really good point. So, it's not like the first time he had sex with these women, they just wound up pregnant.
Yeah, I mean, they're in your cycle. I mean, how many women do you, seriously, how many women do you have to rape to get pregnant? And there's 10 men left in Edna Mahan. There's still 10 men. And these men have they're not benign. They're crimes.
So we should also mention that the men. So with the outrage, and again to underscore what Jen was just saying, there are one trans-identified male who is there as a convicted murderer. He murdered his stepfather. A man who took this vulnerable youth into his home, into his life, raised him, and the man himself, the trans-identified male himself, even said, he really didn't deserve it. I lashed out. I took it too far. Stabbed him to death because of, he was frustrated and angry about, I guess, a variety of things in his own life. So went and ripped this man's life out, after bringing him into his home. And he impregnated himself 2 of these women.
2 women.
Right? And so, like you said, so what happened is after the international outrage, after the news story broke, and the reason why the news story broke, they tried to sweep it under the rug. The Department of Corrections tried to be like, oh, this isn't happening. It was because the brave women of Edna Mahan Correctional Facility put themselves, in the line of facing potential retribution, having, even more trouble come their way to speak out. And the news story broke. People were obviously outraged. So the Department of Corrections did a sort of Band-Aid cover-up by trying to move some of these men out. Where did they decide to move him out? Back to the men's prison? Hell no.
No, with the children.
They sent him to a children's facility, a youth detention center. Yeah. So it's like, between women and children, we are not protective custody. Women crazy. Are not protective custody. Children are not protective custody for violent and dangerous men.
Well, it goes to, the men, they are gaslighting us, and this is really, these men will say anything, and it really doesn't matter what they say. It's the state. The state is sanctioning rape. It's part of the punishment. Well, and that's a huge part of the punishment.
We know these are criminally insane men. They can demand anything they want, but the fact that the state, who has a responsibility to gatekeep and to, adhere to international policy, and as Jan mentioned earlier, the Geneva Convention is a policy, an internationally agreed sort of treaty on the rules of engagement when it comes to conflict and war. And Article 14 states that women should be housed separate from men in safe quarters that are equal in quality, equal in, whatever care and keeping that the men are afforded, but separate.
And did you know in California, I'm going to give you a little thing. In California, the men that entered the women's prison, I think 4 of them have already left. Now, I don't know if 4 might be iffy on those numbers, but because the healthcare in the women's prison was so bad that they went back to the men's prison. So the ones that had diabetes or the conditions that, you need continual healthcare, They tried out the candy store.
Right.
And I'm sure they were
It
fine
wasn't all
there.
it was cracked up to me.
But they couldn't get the medical. And think about, like, the medical. Like, women's medical is more complicated than men's, right? So ours should be better because, you know, we have more issues, really, with our bodies. You know, just being the part of the species that produces the children. We have our bodies are more complicated. Our healthcare should be freaking superior. Our healthcare in California prisons is so bad for the women prisoners that the men prisoners that, you know, the plus is the candy store, but the healthcare is so bad they went back to the men's.
That's insane. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure out why I can't get this chat. I see you guys. The chat is going off. For some reason, my chat won't connect. Let me try this one more time because I want to be able to see and engage with what you guys are saying. Is the OBS chat? No, I need... damn it. Why is there always nothing?
Well, I'll just keep informing.
Yeah, so go ahead. Yeah, sorry. I'll do that.
Also, like one of the prisoners at Edna Mahan, I think, drank the blood of one of his victims.
Oh,
right?
The vampire?
Oh,
we should pull that up on the
So
Redux.
he's still there, right? This vampire dude that's, you know, going to drink the, you know, prisoner's blood. The women prisoner's blood.
Well, not that he's going to drink the women prisoner's blood. It's that he did drink his victim's blood. And
right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
That's what he likes to do to his victims. And these are victims. Just because they're incarcerated women, they are now victims of the state and of the perpetrator. So we have a perpetrator that likes to drink victims' blood.
Let's take a peek at what Jen's talking about. So, trans killer with a blood fetish married a female inmate while incarcerated in a women's prison. So,
wait, is he in California? Because I was talking so much.
No, this is New Jersey. No, he's at Edna Mahan. This is This is why we're protesting. This is why we're going to stand up. Okay. An inmate at New Jersey's only women's prison. Again, it's no longer New Jersey's only women's prison because it's no longer a women's prison. Yeah, it's a mix. Men get their own prison. Women get a mix, and that's how we know that that's true with the bathrooms. Men get a men's bathroom. Women have to share. You know, with the worst of the worst men, right? An inmate at New Jersey's only women's prison has revealed to Redux that a violent trans-identified male transferred into the facility has been allowed to marry a female inmate while serving a 50-year sentence for the brutal murder of a prostituted woman. Perry Surf, 39, was arrested for the rape and murder of a 47-year-old Ecuadorian immigrant, Flor Andurande, in 2002. Surf, who now goes by the name Michelle Heloki Angelina, and it's always some hokey
and let me tell you,
name.
that age range between like 37 and 47 is 40% of the prison population, of the female prison population.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's also, that's a big age range for, AGPs. Actually, they're getting younger and younger now, and I think that may have a lot to do with... So I know with autogynephilia, begins to surface around late teenagerhood. Yeah. But typically men will let it it has like a low incubation, and men will let it fester and fester, and it's usually after they've lived these lives of having had families and being married, and they typically live these very masculine...
We didn't get everything we wanted out of life, right? Like, I got the kids, I got the house, I got the money, but I still need, and I could get a car, but you know what? I think I'll just fucking torpedo my whole family and go for this. Right.
Yeah. I was so, it was so important to me. I felt so affirmed trying on my wife's lingerie when she was at work and playing with her pantyhose, and I decided that was more important than honoring my commitments to my
Could you imagine if it was a woman? If I was like, oh, I like these construction boots, and honey, that's it. I'm gonna, I'm gonna ditch our whole life that we've built together.
There's really just
and
no
wear
comparison.
Like a freaking cowboy outfit.
Yeah,
a
masquerade. So like, bro, what?
Because I have a cowboy fetish.
Right.
I'm gonna make my sex life, first of all, about my whole entire life,
and that's what it is. It's sex. Their sex and sexual desires become the core of their identity. And anyone who campaigns for this is saying, what they desire sexually, stuff that we used to acknowledge was, bizarre fetishistic behavior. No, that's so important. It trumps everything.
Goal. It's the goal. It's the highest goal. The highest goal that a man can achieve is to wear women's clothes and then market himself as a woman.
Right.
And and of course the women that are doing the men's side of it, it's just ignored. There's no Celia Mulvaney. Right. It's like, 5 days of being a boy. Right. No.
And of course, and the thing is, why, if men and women were so interchangeable and so comparable, why are we not having the same thing? Why are men not being raped by women? Why do we not have trans-identifying women, going into men's prisons and raping them and, forcing them to father children? There's just no comparison.
Right.
There's none.
And then you have to argue, we need your help. I hate the fact that, we actually do need their help. We need men's help here. But the good men, they know. They know this is bullshit. They know women are being hurt. And it's their job to protect us. We protect the children. I have protected children my whole life. I was working in Chicago public schools. I, was a daycare provider. I was a Girl Scout mom. I've done my end of the bargain. So now it's time for the men to step up and protect the women like it's supposed to be.
Right.
I can't fight some guy that has a grip strength 40 times as strong as mine.
Right.
I'm not going to win.
Right.
And it's I don't want to admit that I can't handle that, but I can't.
It shouldn't be our job to to corral wayward men. Men understand other men. They have that's them. They need to police their own. Right. They need to if it's there's a group and a few members of that group are going and committing crimes and whatever or killing people, it's you have a responsibility. Rein it in. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't have to protect ourselves and sit there, and we're constantly under attack. Again, it's if a country, like Ukraine, for example, that's become such a big liberal, interest point. It's, Ukraine, and it's sort of Ukraine just, whatever, deal with it. It's no, there needs to be some sort of support. Other people need to take accountability. It's you don't put the burden on the victim to have to go, and that's why we have a justice system. That's why there are, these apparatuses in place.
The justice system doesn't protect us. Port Townsend, they didn't even, I followed through with
just explain what Port Townsend, because not everybody knows what Port Townsend.
Port Townsend was an event in August of last year where about 30 women. Julie Jaman was the main person, right?
So
she was an 80-year-old woman that was at the YMCA and saw that there was a man in the locker room, and she said something because
she was an 80-year-old, and just for a moment, transport yourselves and imagine this was your grandmother or your mother or somebody that you love or your neighbor. Your mother-in-law, someone who you try to identify a woman in your life. She's nude, in the shower. She literally describes being lathered up. This is a very vulnerable place, already being an elderly woman, in public, behind a little flimsy curtain. And she said she heard a man's voice. Yeah. We have hundreds of thousands of years of evolutionary wiring that has designed us to identify a man's voice out of a sea of women's voices, so we know where the threat is.
Yeah, because they are a threat.
They are,
and they're a threat because they're there.
So
that's it. We don't have to determine what type of threat they are. If they're in a ladies' room, they're a threat because they're there.
Right.
So anytime any man walks in a ladies' room, yeah, she heard the dude,
right,
and she went out there and said something. And then they went to the counter, the YMCA counter, and she got her membership revoked.
Not only did they...
For life. 80 years old. That's where she swam and got her exercise. She's 80 years old.
So she went up and confronted the man who she saw was in there helping little girls go to the bathroom and change out of their swimsuit. Turns out he was an employee of the YMCA. Mm-hmm. So he's there wearing a woman's swimsuit, accentuating
little girls get
male
undressed.
genitalia, watching little girls get undressed.
And go to the bathroom.
And she said, you need to leave.
Yeah.
This is inappropriate. You need to leave. Mm-hmm. And he said, absolutely not. I work here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a woman. She goes, you're not a woman. Mm-hmm. You need to get out of where I don't feel comfortable. Yeah. These little girls shouldn't have to deal with you. Get out. Well, not only did he not do that, so she said, fine, you're not going to get out. I'm going to go get some help. She went to who she thought would be a resource at the YMCA, found other employees.
Mm-hmm. The Y.
And what did they do? Not only did they not listen to her or help, they turned and they said, you're a bigot.
Yeah.
You're a bigot and you're never allowed back here. So Jennifer
and then they have the speakers or the press conference.
So we went and
fly out there, and there's like 400 nut job drug dealer Antifas. Okay.
Well, but you guys created a press conference and a speaker's corner kind of in opposition to what had happened.
Yes. And the police said they were going to protect us in emails, and they didn't. They stood by and watched us get attacked, basically, and I got hurt. So after Townsend,
they ripped her shoe off.
It wasn't just that. They ripped my shoe off, but that's a distraction. When he ripped my shoe off, I hit the wall. I hurt my neck. Like, he hurt me. Okay, that's really the bottom line.
It was bad.
But like after that, I got serious. I was like, I'm not doing these events and getting hurt again. So I make sure there's triple layers of protection. So if one layer doesn't work, I have another layer that's available, right? And then if that layer doesn't work, I have another layer of volunteers that are available.
Having worked with Jen, and I can say, from the beginning, Jen will personally, and I've gone with her and I followed her lead, personally will go figure out who's the liaison that I need to know in the police, who's the liaison that I need to know of whatever, space is hosting us. I want their first names. I want their email addresses. Right before we got on, she's in there emailing with the sergeant, making sure that not only does she know who she is, who we are, what we're doing,
and what to expect.
What to expect is sending him clips of this is what is going to happen. We need to make sure that you guys understand and are ready.
Because they don't believe you. In Pittsburgh, they didn't believe me, and I did all this a week via email. Well, luckily, I was so paranoid because, I got hurt at that one, that I went in person. I always go in person like 2 days before. So I know who is working that day. And the guy that I was emailing with didn't really pass along the email. But luckily, I went 2 days early because they knew. Because I was like, this is what is gonna happen. I don't care what this other guy, if he didn't do his job. This is what you're going to be under. Right? And at first they were like, it's no problem. Like, it's not going to be bad. Pittsburgh is different. They're always like, our town is different, right? And then, day of, I'm like, you better make sure you have at least 40 officers planned for this because your town's not fucking different.
Right.
There's these people crawl out of the woodwork to come
and we know
get women just for speaking. It's
what we've seen, I know with Pittsburgh, what we've seen with Philadelphia is, and we've seen it across the United States. They're not from the cities. They're not from the locale. These are a group of people who organize online, and they will travel to come and heckle and harass us. Mm-hmm. These aren't just like locals from Philly who are just saying, "Hey, no, we disagree." No, they are a very organized, concerted effort. They work together. They have signal groups. They are on Twitter. They get wind of an event that we have going on. They send it out to everybody. Let them know when to be, where to be. People will travel from out of state.
Because they're trying to scare us from talking about this. They're trying to scare women into silence. That's their main objective. And they don't want us talking about women prisoners incarcerated with male prisoners that are 50% of them are sex offenders. They don't want us talking about that.
Right.
They don't want us talking about, like the wrong, right? Like, everybody can see caging a woman with a male sex offender is pretty much that woman's going to get raped. It's state-sanctioned rape. Everyone can see that. But they don't want us to talk about it because our voices are powerful. That's why. So if our voices weren't powerful, they wouldn't show up.
Oh, they wouldn't work so hard to stop us.
They wouldn't show up.
So I'm going to really quick pause the live stream because I really want to figure out this. The reason why I look so distracted is because I want the chat to come up so we can engage. I know a lot of people are adding a lot of things. I want to know what you guys are saying. I don't know the hell why it's not connecting. I'm going to pause it for a second. Don't leave. We're not going anywhere. We got snacks. We're here for the long haul, okay? We got rice. We got Chinese. Just chill, okay? Don't leave. I'm just going to fix it. I want to know what you guys are saying. We'll be right back.
Fix it, Brittany.
Yeah, fix it. You'll know. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm so sorry. I had to come up with like a crappy workaround for some reason. Let me just see if this is... Can they see us? Is it still buffering? Is this working yet? Hello? Do you guys hear us? Here, well, let me just check on YouTube to see where we're at with it. Is it buffering still? Oh no, it's on. Okay, good. We're good. Sorry, we're live. I don't know why. I'm having just like a really big problem with OBS. Whatever, we're here. Hello. Alright, so, so again, just to get back to like what we were talking about, Jennifer and I have been working to create a space for women to discuss what we think of the institutional decision to house violent criminal men with extreme disordered sexual fetishistic inclination with vulnerable, traumatized, highly at-risk women. The decision, and just to give, for those who, if you haven't yet, and you're interested in this specific topic, I've done 2 live streams so far on the Edna Mahan Correctional Facility issue and the impregnation of two black women, vulnerable black women who have had, horrific life experiences, who then, the story was that they had consensual sex.
You can't have consensual sex in prison.
It's not possible. It's the same reason why if a guard has sex with an inmate, that guard is convicted of rape. Why? Because of the power imbalance. When you have a hulking, huge man housed in a steel cell,
right,
with a vulnerable woman who is fertile, who by our biology, it is our biology that makes us vulnerable, not our internal gender identity.
And even the women might say yes because it's going to be easier on them.
Exactly.
Right? Like, they're not going to get murdered. Instead, they'll just get raped, right? So, yeah, it might be consensual because you're in a situation where... You're right, but you're in a situation where the circumstances are so, stacked against you that, that's your only... you're going to choose life, right? You're going to choose what's going to keep you alive. It's scary. So, and it's just, they can't say that, it's consensual. First of all, we have 2 rapes, they're saying we have 2 women that are pregnant. So we know there's other women that got raped.
And that's exactly...
Right? What about them?
Right.
Was that consensual too? Are we gone?
No, we're on. Just... Keep talking. It's just stupid.
It's just distracted. I'm new at YouTube, so Brittany's training me.
I just don't know why the fuck is this
training seat. But
going.
Yeah, you can't. There is no making a baby with a woman in a cell that's consensual, right? Even the men, the men that are the guards. Right. I honestly don't think there should be men guarding women in prison.
No,
maybe there would be like a little team that you call if you get into too much trouble with the women. But women are in general nonviolent, and even the criminals that are in jail, they're in there for like writing bad checks for their boyfriends.
Well, hold on. Wait, what do you mean we abruptly ended the stream, Emily? It appears the stream has ended.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God. Fuck. Why?
Because we fucked up the thing.
No, nothing happened though.
Just let's see if we're experiencing.
Oh no, we're live. We're live.
Are we?
Oh, are we live? I'm so sorry, yo. I'm like so rusty right now with live streaming. Yeah, we're
it's
live.
Fine. They said it's fine.
Yeah. So it's just. This matters, and for people who think, all right, well, whatever, these women are criminals, these are, a subset of our society, that why should we care? They committed crimes, they're doing time, and so much of our mentality has been to sweep women away, and I mean to sweep, these groups of people away who we've decided is bad. You know what? I forget who said it. Some philosopher said the easiest way to convince a nation of people to commit an atrocity such as Nazi and the Third Reich and the extermination of the Jewish people is to convince a nation that there is a subset of them that is evil, that is bad, and then you can convince the sort of everyday normal person to go along with heinous mistreatment of that group of people.
Which is absurd because we all know, right, that like all the mental health facilities have pretty much closed, and that when people, they finally put someone with mental health problems away, they put them in jail. Jail is our only standard now. And we have no other help for people. Right? It's like they get in trouble, they go to jail. Right. We don't help them, and then they get in worse trouble, and then they go to jail for longer because that makes money. But we don't have, hey, this woman looks like she's struggling and probably in danger, so we'll give her, resources. Well,
and that's so important to note it too. A lot of the women who are there for violence, if you go deeper into what actually happened, a lot of their so-called violence is defensive and responsive aggression.
Yeah.
These are women who have had histories of ongoing abuse, violence committed against them, women who have been trafficked, women who are afraid, women who are living under this oppression, and a lot of them who have killed a man. Mm-hmm. If you go into it, because they're scared. Yeah, and we don't treat them as that. And what they'll say it's the same reason why the state will take away the children of women who are being abused. Well, you should have known. You should have known that there are resources available. Why'd you stay? As somebody, and I've talked about this on the channel before, as a woman who has been in a situation of domestic violence and abuse, you really think that the guys will come out swinging when it's easy for you to get away? No. They're great in the beginning. They love bomb you. They do whatever they need to do to get you so dependent and intertwined. They make sure to load you up with kids. They make sure to load you up, get you guys committed into a house, and you're married and you have a mortgage, and now there's all of these things that now have crippled you and created a dependence. Once they know they've got you like that, that's when they know they can do whatever the hell they want. How the hell do you uproot a bunch of young children, and the idea that there's just this plethora of resources of people who want to take in
the only resources that there's a plethora of is for men that pretend they're women, okay? If you go to their sites, the page, they can't even fit all the resources on the page. Right. If you're a woman and you are maybe financially strapped and you have a kid and maybe the dude left, who knows, It's
what do they
either
have
WIC
for you?
or food stamps.
Yeah, WIC, or you can
That's
sit.
it. And Medicaid, right?
Or you can sit on
It's
a Section 8 list that I know
that you'll never get. Yeah,
takes 5 to 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
If you somehow qualify, or God forbid, and this was the case with a good girlfriend of mine. God forbid you have a job.
Yeah.
God forbid you're able to just barely make ends eat. Or you're just barely able to make ends meet. Well, you're not entitled. You're not getting into any program.
You're not desperate enough. You're at you make $20,000 a year. You're not desperate.
Yeah,
enough.
we'll throw you in a shelter if you can get in. Nobody cares. Nobody is there to save you. Nobody's waiting. All the same people are saying, "Well, you should have gotten out." They're not there making sure that you have a safe exit out, and we know. Women are at the highest risk of murder by an intimate partner when she decides to leave. If we know this to be the case, how are we going to tell women, well, why don't you just leave? When we know that's when they die.
When they do leave, they're under these things, and then they need money. Okay, let's say these women are terrible women that are violent, and we want to put them away, and we don't care. We're not giving them any excuses for what they did. Put them away and forget about them. It's still not fucking right to put unless we all agreed that rape was part of the sentence.
Right,
it's not right.
Regardless, we live in a civil society. Exactly, Jen. If the judge wants to sit there and declare before an entire courtroom of people that you will be sentenced to 25 years in prison with rape.
You're going to get raped every day. You're going to get raped every day.
And
we all agree that that's good, that we want that to happen to you.
And you'll just shut up and take it. And if it happens to you, we're going to call it consent. And you know what happened to the women? They threw them in a punishment housing called the SHU, segregated housing unit. It's literally underground. There are no windows. You are on 23-hour lockdown. You get 1 hour out. Where do you get to go? In these quarantined, caged cells where you get to stand in a concrete yard where you get some daylight that you can't even see because the walls are so fucking high. All you can see is the sky. You stand there, you walk around in a circle. When the hour is up, you're back down to the cell by yourself. You have no TV, no literature. The only literature you're allowed to have is a pregnant women. Yeah. My fucking God. We are a first world country.
My friend, her niece was put in jail because she wrote bad checks. She was, she just had a rough time in her life for a small period. And she ended up in jail, right? And she was pregnant. They handcuffed her to the bed while she delivered. She's a fucking threat. Okay, you're in labor. There's 20 people around you while you're having your baby.
They will shackle you.
And they're going to shackle you like some fucking animal to a bed.
That's so sad. And it's like you're going to be released again, and now this woman has permanent, I'm sure, PTSD trauma. We know. And it's interesting. There has been some researchers, women who have researched, these maternal experiences. Women with Alzheimer's and dementia can still often recount their birth experience. It is so monumental in the life of a woman. It's almost written on your cells. It's written so deeply in your memories that it becomes part of your,
Well, it's our initiation. Right? Men have to go out and fucking kill something or do whatever to be a man. But women have it built in.
Everyone's saying they need a cigarette.
Right. Women have it built in. It's our initiation. Doesn't mean all women are going to do it, but when you're having your baby, that's the threshold where you're like, okay, I did that. That's something fucking hard.
Right.
It was scary. Every minute of it was scary. I worried about my baby. I worried about how I was going to have the baby.
Yeah, and then being shackled like a fucking animal. But the thing is that it's actually illegal now. So one of the things that I did when I was a community doula up in New Jersey was we were campaigning against the shackling of pregnant women. We knew how sick and twisted. That's what's so interesting, how these women's issues make such full circle for me. You know, I started off as somebody who focused on birthing rights, so that women can birth with, you know, where and with whom that they want, that they're not enforced to a hospital. Women are basically have been court ordered to have C-sections that they felt that they didn't need, court ordered to be seen in hospitals that they didn't want to go to. Yeah. They've been thrown in jail for birthing at home and birthing with midwives, traditional midwives. That was one thing that we fought for. We fought against the shackling of women. Finally, in Trump's term, actually, one thing I'll say that he did do, Angela Stanton King, who's a campaigner, and she's very much against the trans thing, even though she has a trans-identifying son, was helped introduce the bill that President Trump signed to make that illegal. You can no longer shackle women. But what's going to happen to these? And one thing that Jen and I are one of our major things that we say is, what's going to happen to these babies? The babies. Yeah. What the hell is going to happen to these babies? They're going to end up on
Epstein's Island. That's what they're making. But okay, you have approximately 1,200 men throughout the prison system going into women's prisons. Men can get 100 women pregnant, right? Like, we only need a few to get a bunch of women pregnant.
Yeah, men are disposable.
So the state knows that there's going to be babies produced, and I think they want the babies to, you know, so the state can have babies to do whatever they want with it. And what does the state like to do with babies? They like to send them for the fucking white,
right, traffic them to these
old politicians that are used to having babies and young people and whoever they want to fuck, basically. And I'm sorry, I don't.
They just want to traffic, but it's also trafficking for. They're gonna go like the whole adoption system is also like a human trafficking ring. Yeah, they go basically sell them off to the highest bidder of whichever couple wants to adopt. You know,
and the couples are either gonna be two dudes. Right? Because men can't have babies, right? Now, who's paying for surrogacy? Those are mostly gay men, you know, gay men and couples. So they're going to be they're not going to be selective about the couples. It's anybody that will take the baby, because not very many people are willing to be foster parents. Right. So we're creating a whole new genre of unwanted orphans. Right, with murderers as parents, basically, right? One of the babies is two murderers.
But I don't know that they're unwanted. I think there's a huge market for newborns. So there's absolutely people who want them. That's what they're going to do. They're going to go market them off. You know, let's go. Oh yeah, these kids and whatever. It's sick. Either way, it's this. It's state sanctioned human trafficking.
Wanted for love. Rape. They're wanted to do something nefarious with the baby. I don't think if some asshole it will not question how they got their baby, that's a fucking problem. Right. Like if there's a couple, I don't care how nice the woman is or the man is, if they don't know that like the state produced this baby and tortured women to get it, and they're okay with that. Fuck them. Right. They shouldn't have babies. Right. You know, like none of the if they don't know like the provenance of their little offspring that they want to pay probably 40-50 grand to get, because like I know in China, I knew a bunch of, you know, because I was in the suburbs, you know, basically there was 12 Chinese girls in my daughter's class, and none of them were from Chinese parents, right? They went and bought a baby from China. Now, I'm not saying like, you know, they shouldn't have done that because there was a need for that, but they still like, these were rich people, and it cost like $40,000 to $50,000 to get those babies. Yeah. So it wasn't like purely, you know, like, oh, I'm just a middle class normal family and we want to open our heart and let these babies in. It was like, we heard there's some babies over here, let's fly over and pay the fees, the exorbitant fees to get these babies. Right.
I mean, listen, even if they're good people, not necessarily like we don't know, you know, who's whatever, you know, either way it's inappropriate. Period, point blank. Women are not, you know, brood mares. We're not to be bred so that we can create, you know, help like this highly lucrative industry of adoption and whatnot. And also, again, it should not be part of the punishment that you will be forcefully impregnated.
Not even rape. It's not just rape. Like, you know.
Impregnated and then have the child ripped out of your hands within 24 hours. And then you go home. Or not home. You go back to your cell. You're given, like, you know, a week's supply of sanitary pads. You know, they say they'll give him like one pad and you bleed through them, but that's all you're getting. You got to just keep, you know, trying to keep your blood in, and you're sleeping on this horrible cot. You've still got somebody in there with you. You know, or whatever. Well, I know.
It could be the guy that raped you in there with you.
Well, no, because he was sent out. He was...
Right, but if they don't send him out, like in California, like the healthcare's so bad for women, you know, like that's the scenario, right? It could be you're coming back to your cell to get raped right after you had a baby.
Right.
You know, because they're letting all the women get raped.
And one thing I can say is that after you have a baby, your milk comes in. You know, our breasts are designed to have milk. There's something our bodies know that if we just had a baby, that we should be experiencing having a baby. And it's something, there's a deep trauma of giving birth and then not having a baby to be skin to skin, to be breastfeeding. Your milk comes in. You become so engorged. And these women aren't taught how to express the milk or how to they're not given breast pumps to help get that milk out. They're going to get mastitis that are going to cause infections. They could get so bad that it could cause, you know, having to have their breasts partially, you know, either like removed, having the tissue rot and die, getting sick. You can get a blood infection. You could die from these things.
Yeah.
This isn't a game.
I know.
This isn't a game. It's
and
not
what about
part
the baby?
Of the punishment.
What was the baby convicted of? Why does the baby get ripped away from his mother or her mother? Like, what happened there? Did the baby...
Yeah,
is
Jamie
it like
Hopkins just says not to mention the trauma for the newborn.
Yeah,
exactly.
And is this like biblical times where we have generations that get punished because God didn't like what you did? Is that what we're living under? Like a religious order? Because that's what they do. That's what North Korea does. If you do something bad, they'll punish generations. Right. That's what we are. We're like a bunch of fucking communists that, you know, that just have one person that's these rules that don't make sense, that nobody agrees with, right? Nobody agrees with this shit. There's only like 5% of the population that's like, ooh, men can be women. Nobody agrees with it, but we all are afraid to say something. And now that people are standing up, they send their fucking troops to stop us. Right. You know, because they know that, like, that's going to scare the women. But you know what? There's women that it doesn't fucking scare. Right. And I'm one of them. Right. I'm not going to let them fucking do this. I'm not going to stand by and watch, you know, and watch the world fall apart. Women getting raped in the bathrooms because the men are going in. You know, there was a rape in Philly, right? And it's a unisex bathroom, right? Oh, it's okay, it's unisex, right? Instead of the male and female, it's 2 unisex. 3 guys waited, and when a woman came in, they shut the door and fucking raped her. 3 guys. When? This was like a couple weeks ago, and it was at a bar right across the street from like Pat's, where you get like the
Pat's and Gino's, the cheesesteak.
Right. Oh, it was like right down the street from there. And earlier, like 3 weeks earlier, I had gone in and said, this is fucking dangerous. Someone's going to get raped. Right? Wow. And then a couple weeks later, someone got raped, and it was a gang rape. Right? So like all these, you know, all this shit, we all fucking know that this is easy shit. Right. We all know. You know what's hard is dealing with the gaslighting of people saying, no, it's fine. Right. When we all know, you know, and it's like the men know too. Good men should be watching that fucking bathroom door. Right. It's their job. It's their job to keep all the women that are around them safe. That's their job. Just like when I see a kid... it's just too loud. When I see a kid... It's going to the red. You know, if I see a kid in trouble... I don't go and like yank them and fucking, you know, do an assault on them. I get a hold of the kid and where's your mom? Let's call the police. Blah, blah, blah. I feel like it's part of my job as a citizen to take care of a child that's in trouble. And men, because they are physically stronger, it's their job to make sure that the women aren't getting fucked with.
Right.
You know, it's the way of it is what it is. It's not like I don't want to fucking have like, ooh, I need a security guard. But it's true because I can't fight these dudes.
Right.
You know, I can't fight them. And like, that's what it is.
No, you got me fucked up. There's a reason, like, why I got men in my life. Like, bro, like, I'm not, first of all, I didn't pay $600 for a Glock to fight a man. Like, I'll shoot the shit out of you. And, like, sorry for, like, no offense, but, like, all the feminists who are, like, taking, like, the, like, non-violent, bro, you got me fucked up. I'm not gonna not defend myself. I'm a mother of 4 kids. Like, and second of all, I have men for that. Like, what do you think? I'm like, throw hands? Like, fuck no. I'm calling somebody and you want to threaten me? Like,
yeah, I have done so much for men that I feel entitled to be protected. You know, I've done so much for the community and women. I feel entitled. And I really don't think that there's, like, I do think there is, like, women don't feel entitled to this. And we are. We are entitled to it.
You gotta just claim it. Claim that shit, you know what I mean? Like,
and get them out. Tell them what to do.
Get men out.
Men like simple directions.
Simple directions. Real simple, clear. Just get the fuck out of here.
Get them
to
out.
The left.
Get them out. If you see them, just stand there and be like, lady, there's a man in there. I saw him go in. I'll wait with you. I'll wait with you until he leaves. And just stand there and give him a gnarly look when he leaves. Scare him. But don't do anything. Just scare him.
So yesterday, Jen and I, we went out. So my parents were able to take my kids. And I was like, Jen, we can go out. So we went down to this karaoke bar. This was Tuesday night. Whatever. So we stopped first at the Khyber Pass. For anybody who watched the live streams when Posey Parker, Kelly J. Keene was in town for Philadelphia. After our speakers event with Kelly J. Keene, the group of us went down to what we thought would just be a nice little gathering space, Khyber Pass. It turns out Khyber Pass is, like, notoriously one of the most, like, captured, woke places. It's like, who the hell vetted this place?
It wasn't my mom.
It wasn't my pick.
It wasn't my pick.
I thought you was
I let it.
But it was it seemed like a great. It's just like really historical. It's like an old Irish pub. It's really cool. It has this like really old. You could tell it's so old Philly. I mean, Philadelphia is a very old historical city. Beautiful place. I've eaten there before. The food's good. All of us sat down. We didn't come in, you know, waving flags or with propaganda. We had taken off our feminist hats by now.
Yeah.
This was just a gathering of women. We had women of. I mean, we had women from we had a female doctor from India. We had black women with us. We had disabled women with us. We had women, young women. We had older women. I mean, women of all. You know, we had a guest in from Great Britain, from England. You know, and it's like, you know, and I remember sitting there, and I got up and I went to ask her where the bathroom was. And I remember she was like, the lady was like shaking. She's like, oh, it's this way. And I was like, or no, I said, oh no, water. I said, can we get some water? That's what it was.
It was water.
I was like, 'cause we had sat down at a separate table. And I was like, can we get some waters? Because the like service was slow. She wasn't coming over. And I saw her like shaking. And then I looked over. There was a little cup that had the inclusive flags in it. And I was like, oh shit.
Well, what had happened was she had saw that. But when I walked in, I got stopped at the bar. And they told me I couldn't go in. And I was like, fuck you, you know.
Wait, what? I didn't know that.
So when you did that, that was the second signal.
What happened? I didn't know that they'd stopped you.
When we walked in, I was like, you know, trying to figure out where they sat everybody because we were late because we had to put all the stuff away. So I had sort of said, hey, we're with a group of probably 20 or 30 women. Like I figured,
what did he say?
It was a woman.
Or she?
She was like, we can't seat you. And I said, they're already seated. And I kind of was like, you know, and I just like
yeah, but
left.
We went off and sat down.
And then I sat down with because I got delayed. So then when I sat down with Brittany, that exchange had happened with the waitress. So I was like, this isn't kosher, right? Like, so I got up and I kind of told the other women.
No,
like,
I'm the one. Stop it. I'm the one who told everybody.
No, I walked over to Posey and was like, we're having a problem.
No, I sat down next to her. I was telling her, and people were like, no, you told me. You were like, no, I think it's fine. I literally went over.
No. You said something. I said, Brittany just saw this.
No, I sat down and kneeled down. It doesn't matter. I did kneel down next to her.
We all have our own stories. So I walked over to Posey, and I was like, something's up.
No, I sat down and
you might have said it too, but I did, right? Okay. This is my part of the story, okay? You might have said...
I did.
Because when I first said it to
you, you kept telling me, no, you think it's fine. And I was like, Jen, I'm telling you.
I said, like, I don't want to drink anything they fucking bring us. No.
Yeah, then after.
And I was sort of like, I don't want to drink. They're going to spit in our food, right?
So, whatever. So, everybody
then I go to the bathroom to check out the whole fucking scene of who's there. And so then when he came, so we were all sitting, so Posey and that group was like, fuck it, whatever, we'll just sit here.
Right.
And then we sat back down in the corner, and I got my phone ready, because I was like, something's going to happen.
Right. My phone was dead, yeah.
Yeah, something's going to happen.
So the guy
I got it ready, and then we filmed it.
Well, so they came over, and I said something, because the woman was being shaky, and I checked her. I said, is there a problem? Mm-hmm. I was like, is there a problem? Because you seem like you're like really like on edge. And she's like, oh no, there's not a problem. And I was like, all right, like, are you cool? Because I don't know. You look like you're shaking. And she kind of like, she went and talked to the other lady, and then they were all chit-chatting, and then all of a sudden that guy came over. He's like, I don't think we're going to be able to serve you.
They know the difference between women. So the women were too afraid to come and tell us. So they sent a man. That's right?
Right.
You're watching the two women. And like, I remember kind of like we were able to put on the video. I was like, are you kicking us out because
she was shaking, Helena. It was ridiculous. She was literally shaking. And then after the guy said that, and then Jen was like jumped up and like started recording him and started like, no, so she was like, okay, no. So clarify, you're kicking us out, correct? You're kicking us out because we're a group of women, who believe in women's rights, right? And what had happened was some people had actually followed us from the event, saw where we were going, and they stood outside and called them in and said, hey, just so you know, you have a group of bigots, a group of TERFs coming in. And I don't think you should, deal with them. And they acquiesced, of course, because, mob rule, bully rule, that's how it goes. And based on nothing, right?
Like, okay, if you're a dude, do they ask you what's on your hard drive before you go order a sandwich?
Exactly.
Like, no.
How many pedophiles have they probably served? How many rapists have they served? How many scumbags have they served? But we didn't come in wearing a bunch of paraphernalia. We weren't like loudly, marketing ourselves or whatever. No, we weren't. Everybody was
tad. But I mean, like a group of 30 women, of course, we were a little bit loud.
No, I'm not saying we weren't coming in making a political statement. We were coming and sitting as women to eat.
I wanted water so fucking bad. And when she said, like, the chick is going to fuck with our water, I was like, yeah, let's just go, because
Helena says
so
the mob
thirsty.
dictated your right to public life. Absolutely. And so I was like, no, we're not going anywhere. I said, this is a sit-in. I said, I'm protesting.
She did.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere. And people were all like watching and whatever. And then finally I was like, no, let's just get out of here. And I was like, don't worry, like, we'll be back. I was like, we'll make this our clubhouse.
So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Okay, so
I missed you guys too. I love you guys. I'm sorry. And just so everybody knows this, you guys asking, I'm like, I still, the channel will never go anywhere. I've just been like enjoying life. And like me and Jen have had so many fun like hangouts and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff.
I want to do a contest. Like, what do you want us to do with the Khyber? Like, okay, we should do a contest. Like, every time I come in town, I want to fuck with the Khyber.
Oh, Jen has been. No.
So,
where's the video? Wait, pull the video up. We'll put it on the screen.
How do I send it to you?
Just text it to me.
Okay, hold on.
Text it to me. No, I know. Exactly. I was like, and then I was like, I know. But then everybody's like, no, we're going to leave. I was like, all right, I'm leaving too. I wanted to do a sit-in, but whatever.
I know, she was totally, but like that was all day. We had been working all day. So it's like sit-in, that might be
and plus it was like some other women were like, nah, yeah, I know. We're like, I know, me too. I was like, I want to go home. I want to go like with my kitty cats and like smoke weed.
All right, which one do you want? This one?
Yeah, send me that one. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, that's not one. Hold on. I want the whole one.
Yeah, I know, Jamie. I missed you guys. Alice, Lavender Rose. I missed you guys. Elena, everybody. It's so good to see all of you. I've just been I've really just been offline. I've been off social media. That's it. That's really all that is. I've just been in my own personal life.
I sent it. So,
okay, cool.
So, and next time, and we have a plethora of choices with the Kyber. I could get my bullhorn out with the sign and
we should do that. We should do a live stream and just keep asking them, what should we do next? What should we do next?
Every time. It's like my Saturday night. Yeah. I'll just fuck with the Kyber. Fuck going out dancing. I'll just fuck with the Kyber.
No. We fuck with the Kyber, then we go dancing. That's what we did yesterday. We fucked with the Kyber, okay, we're all done. Let's go karaoke. And we did this big karaoke. So good.
We sang, what was that country
song? Oh, wait, hold on. I dug
my key into the side of
his pretty little four-wheel cooped up ride. Carved my name into his leather seats. We didn't pick it. Some guy pulled us up on stage. He's we need you guys to be backup dancers, and we're we got this.
We did. We totally did.
I know. It was really fun.
Sticker.
I'll get it. There's someone took a video of it. We're gonna get it from that lady. I'll put it up on there.
Oh,
I'll bet it with you first.
Put up 3 seconds where we all sound good.
Yeah. Or we look at okay, that's enough. No, Jen and I have been doing she's becoming once a month at this point. Even more, whatever. We've just but so anyway, the whole point of the stream really is we want you guys to come to Trenton. We're going to continue. And this is the kickoff for the season. So Jen wants to eventually do a big ACLU protest. And I think that starting with Edna Mahan is a really great lead in to protesting the ACLU, because the whole history of how we got here with Edna Mahan Correctional Facility is because, okay, so back in 2012, and those who have seen my live stream, the American Civil Liberties Union had filed oh God, where do I begin? Okay. Back in 2010, the New Jersey Department of Corrections decided that it was too expensive to continue to run Edna Mahan Correctional Facility because there are too few female inmates, because we know that women typically don't commit violent crimes. We just don't. Okay, that's just not in our hard wiring, whatever it is, okay? And we had an entire women's prison, and we have one prison for the entire state of New Jersey. New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the entire United States. And that tells you that there was only 400 women. Oh, now there's 400 women, but they couldn't even, make up the numbers to justify running it. So what they did was they temporarily closed down the prison, and they took all of their female inmates and moved them to the New Jersey men's prison, and they created sort of a subsection wing. Well, at the time, the American Civil Liberties Union, again, this is back in 2012, before we were really captured on the trans thing. I mean, this has been such a recent explosion. And they filed a lawsuit saying that it was unconstitutional and incorrect that women should be forced to have programming that doesn't meet their unique needs. And the ACLU acknowledged that women are a separate, distinct group from men with separate and distinct, unique needs. Mm-hmm. And that just giving a male sort of blueprint and applying it to women, it violates their constitutional rights, because we're not the same as men. Mm-hmm. The ACLU understood that back in 2012. Fast forward to 2020, a mere 8 years later, and it was the ACLU filed a lawsuit against the New Jersey Department of Corrections, basically demanding that trans-identified males be allowed to self-identify into women's prison. Mm-hmm. And now the Edna Mahan Correction was, and it was such a flimsy fight. They didn't protest at all. They just said, okay. So now the policy was written that men should be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. If they request to be housed with women, that they be given consideration to their status. And
women aren't I mean, like, what about when a woman's pregnant? Is she given consideration? Is there a new appeal system where she's given consideration? No. Right. So women don't get the same consideration that men get.
Right.
And I mean, like, with the problem with the prisons, like my sister, this is a topic that's really close to my heart. My sister was in prison, and my sister-in-law.
Yeah, for those prison, right? You guys know Hakeem, like somebody that I love, who's been on the channel multiple times, is also currently still upstate. So both of us have ties to this topic.
When they were in prison, like, I would try to send money, and it would have to go through this JPay thing. And, like, by the time if I sent her $50, she wouldn't even get half of it.
Oh, really?
It was like they'd take a piece of it to send, right? You'd get charged 10%. So sick, then you'd get charged. She got charged when she'd get to her commissary, right? Like, just to have it, like,
the amount of money that they make on phone calls and just staying in touch.
Like, they have this thing where they, like, with women especially, because, a lot of times when women go to prison, the family will it's a very shameful thing for women. Yeah. Like, in our society, it's more shameful for women than men.
Right.
So a lot of times their family will kind of, like, leave them. But even if their family does support them, they have to go through all this to get, like, just to send her money so she could get a Smucker. She's like the Smucker's peanut butter and jelly, like, sandwiches, just to send
you
her,
mean, like, the Crustables?
The Crustables, yeah, that's what she liked.
The Crustables are so good. So, I always eat them.
I would send her $50, and she's like, "Yeah, I got like 3 Crustables for $50."
Isn't
like,
it's horrifying.
Yeah, and that's like, they need money for underwear, for maxi pads. Maxi pads aren't a problem for men,
right? And that's, like, such an important thing to mention too, because again, if you don't have family that can send you money, you become destitute, right? And you can't even meet basic needs. You can't even the calories that they give you simply aren't enough for most adults, right?
She said she was getting sick from the food,
right? And the food's disgusting, and it's prepared by other inmates, and they can mess with it. And that's actually an important thing that Jen's talking about. There are so many things that most people who haven't either been through the system or love somebody through the system don't understand how much the prison industrial complex is absolutely a very lucrative industry, and it's an industry that the United States of America has been built to depend on. And so, and that's part of what's going on. So when they had to move women out because they could no longer afford to run, there was 2 options. They could either, let's start, obviously they need to fill beds. If the ACLU filed a lawsuit, they got to get sent back to Edna Mahan. Well, it still costs too much to run this huge prison, and we only have a certain amount of women. And we know that you make $60,000 to $70,000 per inmate a year. That's how much the state makes off of an inmate. They make a lot.
Yeah.
So, and plus not just that, but then all these other subcontractors make money off of everything you're talking about, from commissary,
just
from phones.
To send money. Like, it was a fucking ordeal too. It was like one of those things where you're like, oh my God, I filled out the thing wrong. It's gonna go, and like,
so it's crazy. And so, there's so much money being made. So after they transferred the women back to Edna Mahan Correctional Facility, they realized, okay, well, we can't use this solution to just dump them on with men, right? So what can we do? We have 2 options. We can either go and try to mass incarcerate more women, come up with more reasons to throw them in jail. And I'm sure they tried doing that, of course. Now we have, women are the most explosively fastest growing incarcerated population in America. We are incarcerating women at an explosive rate. Is it because women are suddenly becoming more violent for the first time in human history? Is it that women are suddenly, losing their minds? Or is it that now we have a financial incentive to incarcerate more of them for more bullshit reasons? Right? So there's that, but you know what? Maybe that wasn't cutting it fast enough because women just simply aren't committing crimes fast enough. Well, what's the next option?
The drugs.
No. We bring in men who claim to be women.
Oh, yeah.
There's such an overflow of men.
Got that one wrong. What the drugs?
She was just like, the drugs. Yeah, that's how they're getting, tipped. They're tipping themselves. But they can't put that on the books. But what they can put on the books is now, there's so many men we have to incarcerate, we don't even know where the fuck to put them. Well, holy shit, if we could just change some of them and put them in a dress and say that they're a woman, dump them in the woman's prison. Now we've got a bunch of female prisoners.
Get to sort of like the reason that men are sort of want to identify as women to begin with, because they think that women have reached this part of society in their mind that there's the first class men, then there's sort of like the lower men, then there's the second class women,
right?
And in their mind, their lower class in the first class is worse than the higher part of the second class, right? And like this kind of plays out like, and in a way, in some ways they're right, like because we joked about men getting raped in prison. I didn't, but other people did. There was like, on TV, they would joke of don't drop the soap or whatever about, and we sort of were like, it's acceptable for men to get raped in prison. Right. And it's not acceptable.
Right.
And, but like for years and years and years. And then, so like in our psyche, in our cultural psyche, we're just like, well, men get raped in prison, so women can too.
Right. It's like, all good.
Yeah,
right?
Except men don't get pregnant when they get
raped. And
that's
okay? No, and it's not comparable.
I'm not saying that like men should get raped in prison, but I think
it's not comparable. I did a video, my second ever video, and it was like one of my most controversial ones. Is no, men getting raped is absolutely not as consequential as women getting raped, and there's a variety of reasons why. Women bear such a greater fallout from STDs. Mm-hmm. We have higher rates of cancer. We have higher rates of, infertility or adverse, fertility events that we can have, ectopic pregnancies. If we have, uterine scarring from STDs that ravage us, then we get pregnant, that can kill us.
Yeah.
No. Cancers can kill us. HPV kills us. And it's like, you're right, pregnancies.
But it does, like, I mean, obviously women have more, to lose with that, but the fact that our society, like we sort of were like, get raped in jail with the men, and now it's sort of bled in. This is what happens when you have a desensitized society, even with men. Right.
Oh, like,
I
see what you're saying.
Even with men, where we were like, oh, I guess it's acceptable. They deserve it. They're probably all rapists or whatever. Like, we wrote it off in our head. But, like, that is up to the men to go
we're not
demand
right.
change, right? So, like, look
we
what
are not
happens.
Protective custody. Women are not protective custody for vulnerable men.
Look what happens when it happens to the women. You get women standing up saying no. Well, you know what? It's not because we think it's okay for the men to get raped. It's because we fight for women and girls.
Yeah,
go
bro.
fight men. Go fight for each other.
Yeah.
And stop the rape that's happening in your
Go police your own freak show friends. That shit has nothing to do with us, bro. Like, fuck out of here. Like, we don't want to sit here. And it's like, we were minding our own business. We're not sitting here brutalizing each other. That's what the fuck you guys do. Keep that shit over there. It's always like, get men out. Take the shit. Do it over there. Yeah. Fix it over there. Shit's got nothing to do with us.
We're not doing it.
We're not protective custody. We're not your fucking, emotional support animal. Okay? We're not your fucking, seeing eye dog.
And we all want one. It's not like women don't want an emotional support animal, too.
That's why I have 3 cats. Every time I have a mental breakdown, I get another cat, I'm like, my animals love me.
Right.
Marcus is like,
you're actually
mental. I'm like, he's like, the cat looks real stressed out, because I'm like, hold me.
On a we're gonna serious note.
Right.
So that is why, the first, I knew that I wanted to do the protest with ACLU, and I knew I wanted to do a prison protest. A speaker's corner that highlighted the plight of incarcerated women, because women, I feel like out of the head of the hydra of different arms of GI, this particular atrocity is so blatant because you're locking women with the men. They like, at least with the urinary leash, we can stay home. Right? But they can't escape it. Right. It relates more than, like, people see me, they see like the minute they see me at a protest, it's like, Karen.
Oh, yeah. They love,
right?
They're like, oh, look at this Karen.
Oh my God, they practically, like foam at the mouth.
And I was like, oh yeah, I've heard it before. Get original. Come up with something new.
Get original. And I have 2 women in my life that I love that are in prison. So I don't look like what people think, are, because they're like black, it's black and brown women. There's a lot of white women in prison too, okay? Like, so it's all women. Black and brown women are affected more because there's more of them, and they have these restrictions in the world that make their lives harder, and then they end up in prison because they can't meet the demands of these restrictions. White women have them too.
Wow, Lavender Rose, that's a really good point. Lavender Rose Loves Women says female prisoners are the canary in the coal mine. Yeah. That's a really... So for people who don't know, they would send canaries down, and if the canary died, it meant that there was no oxygen somewhere. That's how they would see, or if there was too much like carbon monoxide. That's a really, really good analogy.
With the porn too, these men are coming in with total gross porn habits where they probably strangle. Like, who knows what the hell is happening, like with the women. Right. The men that are in prison half of them are convicted sexual offenders. Right? So, and pretty much, I'm going to guess, at least 95% of them have been awash in the porn that's happening and the violence against women that is modeling. The porn is modeling violence against women. Right. So you have people that have been convicted of an offense, whether it's sexual or not. They're still being shown this modeling of behavior over and over throughout society, just like the regular men in society are. Except these are the men that are willing to do nefarious things. Whether it be rob a bank or rape a woman, they're still the men that will, go beyond what's morally right to get what they want. Right? And now those men that are watching porn are even more dangerous than just the normal guys that are watching porn. And the normal guys that are watching porn are dangerous too, because they're strangling the girls. That's what word on the street is. So there's, during sex or whatever. But like, so they're coming in to the women that are caged, every day caged in the same cage with some dude that's not even, like, this dude isn't even appealing. He's dressed like a fucking woman. I'm not saying but yay, a guy's coming, and then that's what you get, like some fucking Rachel Levine, Nurse Ratched fucker next to you. Right. Gross. Okay, like, that's not even, in the lexicon of porn dream, okay? Like, oh, maybe I'll get a dude in here that's decent. No, it's like the grossest dude that you can imagine with like totally corrupted brain from porn, sissy porn. That's how they get them. They get them in this sissy porn, and then they want to pretend like they're women. But even the men, like, if I was a dude and I, did some crime,
yeah, of course.
I'd be like, fuck it. I'm going to go with the women.
Right.
Why wouldn't I? It'd be stupid not to. What do the other prisoners say? Like, is there like a code with the men? Like, if you go with the women, we're going to fucking murder you. Like, is there a prison code?
No, none.
None. It's just like,
no, they're like, yeah, good for you. They don't care.
But you said Hakeem didn't like him.
Just because Hakeem doesn't mean there's a prison code.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought maybe...
No. No. Women are just unprotected. But so, all right. So, I...
sideways there.
So, I don't know what, like, it just seems like some of the stuff got,
Did we forget something?
No, just we're having some weird technical stuff. It looks like the first half of our stream might not be showing up. I don't know why. Anyway. Alright, so I think that is a
wrap up.
Good spot. So,
just for next time, remember what you want me to do at the Khyber, because I'm gonna every time we come.
Yeah, every time. We're gonna hit him again and again. And
that was the sorriest
Jen
mistake
is like the
they ever
queen.
made. Okay, they were not.
No, they're like, please just leave us alone. They'll have him begging like, oh God, the goddamn terms.
My memory's long, and I don't forget.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna forget the Khyber.
No, never, ever, no.
I had planned this whole thing where I was gonna meet up with the owner and offer to buy it and then show him the film. So that's an option too.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah. We should get it to him anyway.
Yeah.
But
and if anyone wants to come with and fight the Khyber with us.
Right. So yeah. Stay in touch with us. Like I said, on April 14th at 1 p.m. At the Trenton, at the Annex in Trenton, New Jersey, we will be gathering to, civilly, peacefully express how we feel about housing violent criminal men amongst vulnerable women in the New Jersey state formerly women's prison. That's now a it's now a mixed sex prison, and and that's going to be, kicking off, and then we're going to start after that. That'll be a lead-in to the ACLU, demonstration that hasn't been planned yet, but we're going to start, just keep the ball rolling. Because, again, we can all sit here and being online and being on, Twitter and YouTube, all that is so important for organizing, but we've got to hit the streets, too. Mm-hmm. We've got to have boots on the ground. We've got, it shouldn't just be for those who are good at social media. And that's why all layers of it is important. Because there's a lot of you who are not able to get boots on the ground. Mm-hmm. Some of you, for whatever reason, you have young children. It's just not practical. Maybe some women who are disabled who don't want to put themselves in that position for whatever reason. Okay? So how you can support us is be there in the live stream, retweet it, chat, like the videos. That means everything. When we see that we've got this whole, and it's funny, one of the funniest things was in Pittsburgh, this one guy, because they were all screaming while we were talking and we were all mic'd up, and he's like, no one can hear you. You were drowning you out. We can hear you. I was like, oh honey, oh you poor dear. We're mic'd up. Yeah. I don't care if you can hear us. See this? This is my phone. I'm on a live stream. Yeah. I've got hundreds of people listening to me right now, and before the end of the night, it's going to be thousands. So I don't care.
And I have a big mouth, and I talk really loud.
So, and the point is, it's like, so you guys can help us diffuse the message. You keep us going. Oh, fundraiser.
Oh, the fundraiser is Give, Send, Go. Jennifer Thomas. Free speech for women.
Let's pull it up.
And that is to
Give, Send, Go.
Yeah, that's basically to pay for an Airbnb and some travel. I normally pay for this myself, but I've done this for 2 years, so I've started a fundraiser.
Is this it?
Yep. Give, Send, Go, and then I can send it to you.
Yeah. But it's on here though. Okay. I'm not on my phone.
Let's do it. Start or find sign in.
Yeah, no, right here. Here, hold on. Nope, right here. Let's see, Jennifer Thomas.
Free speech for women. Yeah, it should be. No, just do Jennifer Thomas. It'll come up.
Okay.
But my name is so common. Oh, there it is.
It is. Woo! All right. Here. Oh, shoot. Hold on. All right. Hold on.
So that's a picture.
Hold on. They're not up there yet. We gotta get it. Pull it up. So right on here is up. Hold on. Damn it. Hold on. The kids are here. Yeah.
Okay. So can they hear me? Yeah. So this is me in Washington. We've been protesting this for a while now. So that is the Give, Send, Go. You can also show up, which would be really, really, really helpful. But if you can't show up, you know, like she said, retweeting, crossing platforms with content is really helpful. So if you have a YouTube channel and a Facebook and a Twitter, just bringing that to all the channels. Or if you have an Instagram, because I'm only on Twitter, so you know that's where you can find me at Rev Fem Street Beat, which is REVFEMSTBEAT. And you'll, you know, if you follow me, you'll keep, you know, you'll have a calendar of what's coming up, at least on the East Coast, because that's my territory. And yeah, it was a great live stream. I'm not used to being by myself on a thing, and I can't even see myself. So I don't know if this is going to work, but I think I'm going to end this live stream. And thank you so much. Here you go, Brittany. You better say goodbye to your friends.
Hey guys, sorry about that. Oh shit. Of course, my kids walked in. My parents always just drop them off without letting me know that they're coming. It always happens, right? When I'm doing something like this. But, yeah, okay. So, yeah, you know, any support is huge. Like I said, it helps us so that we can bring in speakers, so that we can be more effective. We've got a whole team on the ground right now. We have professional writers helping us with press releases. One of the biggest initiatives that we wanted with this is to really bring in the media. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear, it doesn't even make a sound. We want to make sure that we're making a sound. We want to make noise. We want to make sure that we can get in, you know, media outlets, large and small. You know, and
shout out to Fatical, who helped us with the press release, and Vanessa. So yeah, and it looks a lot easier it's easier said than done. These protests end up costing about $2,000 to put together,
right,
like on average.
Right.
So, you know, if we don't do fundraisers, then we
right,
end up paying.
We end up paying
the women
a lot
that are
money,
actually putting their lives on the line in some cases. I mean, like in Fort Townsend, I felt like I was putting my
between
life on the
you know
line.
gas and you know equipment that gets damaged, equipment that we even have to use. Period.
You can't even bring like the suffragette flag, okay? Like,
right,
if you bring something, they'll use it against you. Like, somebody brought like police tape, and it gets wrapped around like your ankle, and then the flag got wrapped around gas. Oh.
Okay, no, we're not. I have paused it. All right, I love you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We'll be back. You know, I'm gonna try to just get back on a streaming schedule. I miss you guys. And we will be back in. All right. Love you. Take care.